We're going to start off with a little story. So, Skaerbaek 2022. We are in the smallest speck of Europe. And some friends, Jen, Chris, Dr. Kat, my girlfriend Carla, we're all at a grocery store. It's late at night, meaning Skaerbaek means 8 o'clock. We were loud. We were those loud Americans. And I said it out loud. I was like, guys, they're looking at us. We're the loud Americans. And a woman from across the store said, yeah, you are. And I was like, oh, like, we're okay, all good. Come to find out they're AFOLs. Because nobody else is in Skaerbaek at that hour. So we're like, okay, we ended up making friends with them. The Norwegians, as we like to call them. And had gin and tonics all weekend long with them. Amazing people. That was our first time, or my first time at Skaerbaek. The girls had been before. Going for our fourth time, those same people that we ran into at the store are the ones that helped us get our cabin this year. So, friendships are what I say is what I get the most out of LEGO travel. And so, making friends like that from around the world has definitely changed my perspective on life and other AFOLs and things like that. So, as Chris was attempting to call me out for, I am Mo. Some of you may know me, Need Mo Bricks. I am a LEGO ambassador, but most importantly, I'm an AFOL. I was traveling for LEGO events long before I was an ambassador, and when I say long, I'm talking in a few years. The brief, real quick history, I didn't play with LEGO as a kid. Didn't have it, parents couldn't afford it. I didn't touch it until the Batman 66 Batcave that I bought. Actually, let me take that back. Pause. Girlfriend got it for me for Christmas. I thought it was outrageously priced and didn't get it. I'd never walked into a LEGO store before and I didn't think I would again. Look at me now. I get asked, the number one question I get asked is, how do I travel? I have lived in my apartment complex for 27 years. I live in rent control. I drive a minivan that is completely paid off. Also, I don't have kids, so I get to use my adult money on kid stuff for adults. One thing I do like to do is I always like to thank my girlfriend because, as many of you know Carla, she travels with me everywhere. I drag her around the planet now to go to LEGO events, and she has become friends with many people in the community, and so it is, without her, I couldn't do this. She's the one right now recording. She's the one who reminds me who people are. She's the one that reminds me, my memory is shot. You go to enough events, you meet enough people, you do enough social media, enough names, your brain just fries. And so she's the one that helps me out with that and reminds me, no, you had drinks with that person last night, and I go, So I always thank my girlfriend because she is an amazing woman who puts up with me. I am not easy to put up with. I get stressed, I get anxiety, I get all those things, and she deals with it, so you can thank her for the friendly persona that you all see. My first travel was to Pasadena, California, and I live in Los Angeles. It was before I knew anything about LEGO fan events. I just went to Pasadena to go to a convention that was great. Ended up buying some shirts. Saw some really cool shirts by some guy named Will Herring. And I'm looking around to see how many people are wearing them. Right now, Will is going to be deeply disappointed. Will, we ended up chatting with him for a little bit, and that was it. The next year, went back. Had a great time, the thing, saw Will again. He's like, oh. And he said, you should go to other shows. And I'm like, what do you mean, other shows? And so he pitched some stuff, and mostly he pitched the great state of Texas and said, you should come down. And I'm like, that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. I'm not traveling to Texas for a LEGO event. So later in the year, we decided to go on a little trip to Portland, Oregon for Brick's Cascade. And I grew up outside of Portland, and so I went to go visit family. I went with a day pass. I was already shooting some photos from Bricks LA, things like that, and posting them. So I had already been involved, and I followed some of the people that I really admired. So it was cool to go see, Batman stuff done by Ryan. That was, Brick Baghdad did some amazing stuff. And so I was like, yeah, so I'm gonna go up there. Will was there again. And he's like, hey, you are here. You traveled. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, well, you need to come to Texas. I'm like, this is family here, gave the excuses. We wrapped up at Brick's Cascade, but I do have to say, Ryan is the one who told me I should create an Instagram account just for Lego. I am where I am today because Ryan said, hey, some people have Instagram accounts that are just for Lego. So I did it. So I always, every year, thank him for being the one that said, give this a shot. We left Portland and I wanted to go visit my family in Idaho, and we decided to rent a van. The van that is now paid off. We rented it, the original copy, drove to Idaho and decided to buy the van a week after we got home. A week after that, the world closed down. So, COVID, here we are. I had still not attended a show as an attendee. During COVID, did the building, did this like everybody else did, but that van got to go on a road trip. And for some reason, I decided I wanted to have Lego on my license plate. And we went and they said, yeah, you can't do that. Carla goes, what about Mo Lego? And they were like, yeah, you can do that. So that's where the Mo Lego license plate was born, was because we were standing in AAA and that's what we did. So we did van trips during COVID. And we would go on 10-day van life trips through the Pacific Northwest. And we started going to these brick and minifig stores. And it was like, oh, these are fun. And we started meeting owners and buying a little stuff here and there, but checking them out. And I did a little bit of social media then, but it was like, oh, we're going around. So it was like, that was probably the first real Lego travel, if you will. Exciting road trips, not that much in the excitement of Lego. Brick Rodeo 2021 was officially the first show that we ever went to where we were attendees. I had no idea what an ambassador was. I didn't know what a lug was. I didn't know anything. Going in blind, I know where Texas is. And so we went and we were in Houston and we had an amazing time. The people of Texas were very, very warm and welcoming and inviting, and that was a very important thing for us because we didn't know what we were doing. And I do always like to give a shout out to Dawn. Lego Masters Dawn. She's the person who explained to me what a draft is. I had no idea what a draft was. Like, I'm just like going along for the ride going, I don't know, and having a great time. And the reason why I think we continued going to events is because of how well things in Texas went. I felt that it was worth the trip. We had a great time. There was great food. There were great people. It was less hot because it was earlier in the year than it is now. So if I would have done the July show in Houston, I might have taken pause for the next one. But I have to say, the most important thing for an event, and I've seen many of you at different events, the new people. Be warm and welcoming, and that's what makes shows grow. That's what makes this more fun. There's going to be people who leave the hobby, but there's always new people who come into it. And when we see the first timers here, be warm and welcoming to those people and help them out and answer their questions. It's a better likelihood that they're going to come back. Texas was phenomenal. I've been to Texas, we missed it this year, but I've been to Texas 4 times now. We actually did a road trip in the van all the way into Houston. We are not going to be doing that again ever. That is the most boring trip, except for there was one exciting moment, and we camped, we did the whole thing. We were driving up north towards Colorado, and I looked to the side of the road, and I saw the Cadillac stuck in the dirt that I had only seen in photos, and I'm like, holy shit, so we flip around to go check out Cadillacs in dirt. That was the best part of that entire road trip. Brick's Cascade 2022, I'm jumping around shows, is where I learned about Skaerbaek. There was a presentation, much like this, except for it was had a slideshow. I don't do slideshows, I tell stories. If you guys get bored, please feel free to go follow, swipe through my social media. I will not be insulted, as long as I don't hear my voice, because that just creeps me out. But I watched the thing and I was like, we have to go. We're going to this thing. There's cabins, there's all sorts of stuff. And we were told, well, it's a little late, it's a little close, you may not be able to get in. Well, we ended up being able to get in, and we decided that we would go and get an Airbnb because we didn't understand cabins. We didn't understand anything about this. We had never been to Europe. Met Chris. We had seen each other, but officially met Chris. And I had met Jen, who wasn't there that year, at another event. And we ended up becoming friends, meeting up, and she's like, hey, she talked to Jen, we have space in a cabin. And we ended up then going and staying in their cabin, and this will be our 4th year of sharing a cabin. It has gone well enough, and if you've never been, these cabins are not the biggest places. 4 people for grown-ups is the max. I know other people slam 6 people into these cabins. I do not advise it. I like a little bit of privacy. So again, what it came down to was meeting people, making friends. That's what advanced the travel. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, we do have a place to stay. If we would have gone to Skaerbaek and we would have stayed at an Airbnb, would we have had the same experience and want to go back? It was supposed to be a one-time event. And I will reference San Diego Comic-Con a couple times during this. That's what it was going to be. A huge event that I'm going to go to once and then be fine. Well, again, 4 years later, going back, that was the first trip to Europe, and we went to the smallest place on the planet and had a phenomenal time. Going to an event where there are 1,200 people, and they're from 35 countries, and you have a spread out area where you can all go through and go to each other's cabins, and instead of hotel rooms where we're all separate, go to people's cabins and drink gin and tonic, drink whiskey, beer, and meet people, and everybody is just there for a good time, and they are welcoming. And Lego House, phenomenal. If you've never been, absolutely. Lego House is amazing. Skaerbaek, though, for me, is the important trip a year because of the people that I get to go hang out with. Now, I see these people at other places as well, but it is an important thing for me. I would like to point out that Skaerbaek can get very, very expensive. Insanely expensive. Cabins are cheap, Skaerbaek gets expensive. First year we were there, went to this little meeting where they were going to talk about Portugal. Some event in Portugal. And you go, well, let's go watch this. And we found out Portugal was not the most expensive event to go to, except for the flights. So we watched this little thing, and a year later, a year and a half later, whatever it was, ended up going to Portugal. We went together. We stayed in the same villa. The Portugal, and I pronounced the name of the city improperly, wrong, to the point where some Portuguese say, I have no idea what I'm saying. Paredes de Coura is the closest that I can get to what that event is. It is, if you've been to Brick World Chicago, imagine the most possible polar opposite event. If you've been to the biggest, you're going to the smallest. If you've been to the most expensive, you're going to one of the least expensive. I have never been to an event where they feed you 2 meals a day, where their AFOL room is open and has free beer all day long. It's like they take care of you when it comes to just food. And when I say we have meals together, they close down the show. We get on a bus, we walk, we get in our cars and go to a school where they feed us. Lunch ladies, lovely lunch ladies, feed us a meal. It is really hard to explain how special that actually is to go through and take the time and spend with other people and be like you're in a high school cafeteria, and those type of things. It made Portugal even more special, the connection that you make with the people. You do not go to that event for the mocks. There are some amazing things, but you do not go to that event thinking you're going to see a gigantic number of mocks. You're going to see some amazing things, but not many. You go for the people. You go for the experience. Portugal is a beautiful country. I highly recommend, if you can go, even if it's not to that event, go to Porto. I didn't know, and this is what's great about travel, I didn't know that port wine came from Porto. I had no idea. There was never a time in my life that I was going to go to Portugal. But Miguel, who runs the show, pitched it at Skaerbaek. Last year, Edwin pitched Japan at Skaerbaek. You should go to Japan. It'll be great. You'll have fun. Yep. We ended up going to Japan this year. Japan BrickFest was amazing. We'll get back to that one. That's how Skaerbaek gets very, very expensive. is because all of a sudden you're going someplace else because you saw something there. 110 cabins, by the way, that's what they're at now, and that makes that place very, very special. I'm jumping around time periods because all of this starts to blend together. I can't remember the years, some things happened, some things didn't. But I do remember the first time I went to BrickCan, which I learned about at Skaerbaek. Alien was there and explained BrickCan and said, oh, we're gonna be opening registration, you should come up. It was my first time in British Columbia for 25 years. And I had gone to school in Seattle and went up there and had an amazing time. It was a great time. It's at a casino, and I thought, well, I'm gonna be in the casino more than, nope, I barely went into the casino. Had a great time, but there was one night that we were having a get together and people are drinking and have a good time, and a woman walked up to me. I apologize, Carla was not there, so she cannot tell me who that was. But there was a woman who came up to me and said, hey, I watched the live that you did at Skaerbaek. I was like, oh, and she goes, you were wandering out in like these cabins, and then all of a sudden somebody came up to you and asked you if you wanted to buy Fabuland, and all of a sudden you're negotiating in 2 different languages with 3 people to buy brand new factory fresh Fabuland characters that somebody had found in a garage. And I'm like, I remember this. She had watched the whole thing, and she goes, it was so genuine, it was so chaotic. I was like, I have to do this. I then panicked. This is the first time somebody had said to me, I want to go because I saw what you did. There is nothing more stressful than looking at somebody who's about to spend multiple thousands of dollars to go on a thing based off of a corny morning live that you did where Fabuland characters were involved. Steve, I still got them. I'm so happy. They're cheap ones, but I'm very, very happy I have them. So that's when I started giving advice about travel and saying the things, it's hard to give advice of where you should go. Tell me what you're into, tell me what you like, tell me if you like crowds, then I can give better advice. Brick World Chicago I've been to once. I do have a little bit of bitterness because I was never in Chicago. I was in Schaumburg or something. I did not see any of the places that I had seen on television. And so that made me very sad. I thought I was gonna see The Bear or Perfect Strangers or any of those shows. No, it's not nothing. No ER, nothing. So Brick World Chicago, although it is larger than Skaerbaek, there's 2 different. You're a lot more compressed in Chicago, where it feels a lot more free and you don't feel as anxious. I felt very anxious in Chicago. I had a great time, saw a lot of great friends, but it was huge. It was like San Diego Comic-Con. And I've been there where it was 250,000 people at San Diego Comic-Con, and it is a zoo. For me, that's what Chicago felt like in just a smaller scale. So I would never recommend to somebody, go to the Chicago show if it's your first time. I wouldn't recommend that. If you don't like crowds, I'd say maybe there's some other shows in the country that you could go check out. And maybe instead of, like me, for the past 2 years, instead of going to Chicago, we went to Portugal. It's a whole different vibe, it's a whole different thing, and again, they feed you. Well, Portugal started getting expensive, because the first time we went to Portugal, this guy, Kevin, from the UK, does something called Fairy Bricks, maybe some people have heard. He's a dominating force. Like he has a voice, he has a thing, and he comes up to me as I'm looking at something and he hands me his phone. He goes, here, watch this. I cannot do the accent. Here, watch this. So I end up watching a 60-second video of Manchester, of Bricktastic. And it's a gorgeous video. They do the best advertising video I have ever seen for a show. And I saw the people who are working on it because Kevin lets me watch it and then goes, so you're going, right? When somebody looks you square in the eyes with that personality, goes, well, the answer has to be yes. How are you? And I don't want to disappoint Kevin. So we went to Manchester. So Portugal started getting to be the expensive show as well. I've been to multiple countries now. Last year I was in Canada 3 separate times. I have been to Vancouver, BC. I've been to Calgary. I went to, for Brick Roundup, I went to Bricks in the Six in Toronto. The reason I went to Brick Roundup in Calgary is the person who runs it saw me at BrickCan, and he goes, hey, you know what? Nobody ever really comes to our show and does social media. If you got nothing better to do in October or whenever it was, and you want to come visit Calgary, we'll show you a good time. And I said, sure, I'll go. Why? Because he asked me to. I went up there, and there's about 50 or 60 AFOLs that were showing, and there were some amazing mocks, and it was a great thing, and it was held at the University of Calgary campus. And one thing that is really, really cool about traveling is the cool things that you get to see that you never, ever in your life thought you would see. I got to see the Olympic Oval from the 1988 Olympics. That was prime time for my childhood. It was, for the age group, the Battle of the Bryans, Katarina Witt, Brian Orser, and Brian Boitano, the whole thing. For me, I was 12. This was perfect. So I got to go to that place where the Olympics happened. I had no idea where it was. I had no idea. It just happened to be down the hallway from this. I was the only person from the United States at that event. And the Canadians thought I was crazy. They were like, why did you come up to this show? I was like, well, because he asked me to. And I'm having a great time. And I wanted to see Calgary. And I got to see a speck of Calgary. I got to see a university. I had no car. I wandered around a neighborhood and I had a great time. I would love to go back, but this year it falls on the same weekend as Skaerbaek. So, sorry, yeah, I'll go visit Calgary another time. I also did Bricks in the Six for the first time in Toronto. I've been to Toronto before. It's a beautiful city. This event is not in Toronto. It is a ways out of town, but we went on a special weekend this last year, and I think anyone who flew in saw a Swiftie. And if you didn't know you saw a Swiftie, you absolutely saw a Swiftie because she was there all weekend long and all the Americans were coming up to Toronto because it was cheaper to go there than in the US. So you get to meet some Swifties. They're lovely, lovely humans. Manchester. The warning that I had about Manchester was bring a heavy jacket. I have never had so many humans that were not mothers go, now bring a jacket, it gets cold. So I brought a jacket, I went down, we're in LA. I bought a long trench coat, I look great, 50% off because nobody wears them in Los Angeles. I'm so glad I took that jacket. When people from the local area tell you it's going to be hot, cold, windy, whatever, just listen, it's worth it. I grew up in Oregon, I can run, no, that wind got a little bitterly cold. But you know, Kevin was warm and welcoming and so happy that we came. And they treated us again very warm and welcoming. And I knew more of the people there because I had met them at Skaerbaek. There were friends there. There were people, acquaintances. So it's like as we compile, we're meeting more people. So when I go to a foreign country, I'm now knowing as many people as if I do as if I go to Brick's Cascade. That's where the names, that's where the places, that's where the times all start to mash together because I think I talked to somebody at one place, but really it was a year earlier at another place, and then I feel like a horrible human for not realizing that. Manchester was an amazing city. I really enjoyed Manchester. We went out and had dinner one night at a bar restaurant. There were people, we live in LA. It's a different vibe when you go to a bar or restaurant that has live music. These people were having fun. Like they're singing along, there's a live band, everybody's having a great time. I was like, this is fun. Like we had a great time. The people that were fun, the food, as much as I had heard is horrible, was good food. Had a great time. But then we decided to go be tourists because why not extend a few days like we did in Portugal, go to Porto, like we do in Copenhagen. We always add a couple days to make it where it's not just a work trip. I do social media, I consider it all a work trip. It is a very fun job that I absolutely love, still a work trip. That's what my accountant tells me that I am required to say. We ended up going into London and doing the touristy things, and we wandered around and we did, the hot spots. You know, we saw Buckingham Palace, we saw Big Ben, we did all that. We decided to go on a tour of the Tower of London. They have the crown jewels there. I've never seen crown jewels. I don't actually know if they were the real ones, but I didn't think I was going to go in and see the king in there. But we're wandering around this ancient, building. And we're walking down towards a turret, and I look over, and I'm like, God. And I look at Carla, and I'm like, really? We just can't get away from it. Walk in, and there's Josh, from beyond the brick with his new bride. And so we see each other, and it was one of those where it's like, oh, hey. And we talked for probably 2 minutes. That was it, because the women were definitely not there to hear about Lego. So I was going, da-da-da. We took off. We skipped a turret so that we're not running into each other again, just so we can have that break away from the business of social media, of Lego, and all this type of stuff. So we had just done Manchester. So we got to go and do the touristy things, and I loved London. I had a great time. I actually got to go to the corporate hub. John Longbottom invited me to the corporate hub, and that was really cool. It was really cool to see the Lego corporate headquarters in London. What was even cooler is when he said, hey, we're gonna go have some beers at bars that are older than your country. And I said, let's go. We ended up drinking in bars that, 4 or 5 bars that were hundreds of years old. One of them on the outside of the sign said, I apologize, school was a long time ago, and I didn't even know when the Great London Fire was, 1600s. It had been established 2 years before the Great London Fire in the 1600s. Then it was reopened 2 or 3 years afterwards. Now, when you go on these trips, politics sometimes gets brought up, but not usually, because there's really no common things to talk about. What I realized as I was sitting in that bar, and we can talk about the current politics of today and what Britain thinks of the US and all that, I realized I'm sitting in a bar that 100 years before we were created, they were probably bitching about us. And then sometime in the mid-1700s, they're going, well, we got to go over and get those colonial. And I was like, I am literally sitting in a place where people have been talking about politics for hundreds of years. And I'm sitting next to a fireplace that has been sitting there. I'm just like, this is a little mind-boggling. And for a person who has not traveled out of the US and not done that, it was impressive. And it was great. Again, John and I had become friends in Portland. And we became closer friends in Texas. He took us out. He could have just said, oh, come take a look at the hub, have a good night, blah, blah, blah. But he took us out, and we had a great time. Making these relationships is what makes this more fun. Even if Josh and I get along just fine. We're not best buds, but we get along just fine. But it was that statement of going, we're gonna bust out of here because I respect you as another human being. So even giving that respect beyond just being if you're best friends, just respecting other people is a huge, huge deal. Let's see. I decided I wanted to go to a show that I had not been to that was a non-recognized show. And I reached out to Lego and said, hey, any thoughts? And a person there said, there's this, have you ever been to Omaha, Nebraska? And I said, no, I have not. I don't actually know where Omaha, Nebraska is. I know it's middle America, it's great. But let's go. So I reached out to them, and because they had long since sold out, and I said, listen, I don't need swag, I don't need a t-shirt, I don't need anything. I'd love to come and do some social media to make the trip worthwhile and check out your show. They said, absolutely. And they opened up a ticket for me, and I paid for it, did my thing, and I went. I didn't really know what I was expecting out of Omaha, but it definitely was not. When I got off the plane, everybody here's close enough, got off the plane, I thought it was going to be a little bit more Bible Belt-ish. Like, I thought I was going to see more churches than anything else. I grew up in Eastern Oregon. There's a church on every corner. That's what I thought I was seeing. No. I saw more adult entertainment places and casinos and bars, and I'm like, where did I just get dropped into? I show up where they're having dinner, like we did. We had, Chinese food, did the thing. I showed up there, and they're having some sort of sandwich that is an Omaha, Nebraska thing that I can't remember. They had saved food for me. I came in, they were welcoming. I got to meet the owners of the show. His wife said, so what are you gonna do touristy here? And I'm like, there's touristy things to do? And I'm trying not to be an ass, but I was like, oh, like what? And she goes, well, we do have a zoo. Okay, I've been to a zoo before. She goes, no, it's actually a pretty good zoo. And I'm like, of course it is. Sure. So I go and look it up, and I'm like, actually, this is kind of a cool looking zoo. So I went. $26 to get into the zoo. right? Even the Uber driver's like, yeah, it's nice, but it's a little expensive. And I'm like, okay, 26 bucks. Come to find out, it's the #1 zoo in the country. I went into that place and it's bigger than Disneyland. The rainforest exhibit alone was worth the cost of admission. I was shocked how amazing. I booked out about 2 hours. I ended up going, okay, we'll stay for 4. And I got to wander around the zoo and go, I had no idea. If I hadn't have made friends with the people the night before and somebody given me a suggestion, and if I had have just turned up my nose and said, well, I'm not gonna do that, I would have missed out on one of the most amazing experiences that I've had on a trip. I had a conversation with a gorilla through a piece of glass, so I'm sure knew everything. We're this close to each other. This gorilla's sitting there and I'm like, oh, hey, how's it going? We're having a thing. And it's looking at me and paying attention for a second, and then all of a sudden, stands up. And he had been sitting on a little burlap thing. Picks it up, shakes it out, sets it down about 3 feet away, and looks the other direction. I'm like, well, that conversation's over. That is one of the best conversations I've ever had in my entire life. I love that experience. So when you go to the new places, listen to what the locals have to say, and don't maybe look what's on TikTok or Yelp or what the best places are. Talk to the locals, because that's where you find out where the good stuff actually is. Friendly people make you want to go back. This is a problem. I want to go back to Omaha. I want to go back to Portugal. I want to go back to Portland. I want to go back to Seattle. Sorry, Bellevue. I went to art school in Seattle in the 90s, and I'm a little snobby about Bellevue. But I want to go back because these are the people that I like. These are the friends that I have made. That makes it a lot more difficult to go through and go, I was gone from my home, traveling last year, 48 days. And when you put that number together, you go, whew, that's a lot of days. How much did that cost me? What did I do? Future credit card debt me is going, this is a great idea. You know, friendly people make you want to go back, so watch out for them. They're kind of dangerous. Let's jump back to Edwin in Skaerbaek. Come to Japan. You know what they do at their show? They charge an entrance fee, and then they have the gall to make us pay to display. And I'm listening to this going, oh, wow, okay, I'm sure it's fine. Then you get the currency calculator and you find out how much you're paying, and it's like $30 admission and $9 to display your mark. And you're like, 40 bucks? Oh, I'm good. Don't worry. And so we were sitting there and asking questions. There's a row of Americans, and we're like, how is this so cheap? And so we actually kind of annoyed the person who runs Japan BrickFest, because we were asking questions because we had no idea, you know, how those shows run in different countries. And so he was patient and explained to us, and we went. And you know, Jen and Chris went earlier in the trip and went off and did their exploring. We ended up going just before the event and then staying a little bit afterwards. Japan BrickFest had mocks like nothing I've ever seen ever. Neil brought up a name during his presentation of the Great Ball Contraption. I had only recently heard that name of a guy that designs these phenomenal, like insanely good Great Ball Contraption modular, whatever, sectional, whatever we call them. And I had no idea that I was actually seeing somebody who is legendary in this thing. I had no idea. I'm just going, this is really cool. Their builds, where we have these huge layouts, their builds are small and intricate, and they transform, and they're just mind-boggling in detail. Mecha, dragons, random, you know, things like that, where you go, oh, okay. We see that here, but not that much. It is everything. They make things look so organic. And I asked, why are all the mocks so small? And they said, we don't have the space. We don't have the space to build. So if you only have this much space to build, you make something this size. And I was like, okay, well, that makes complete sense. But it was interesting to see a culture of how they live is how much it affects the AFOL community there. It's where everybody's building of a certain size. And the respect that the culture has there for people who are looking at their mocks is a little difficult to deal with at the beginning. When you're looking at somebody's mock and you go, oh, this is really cool, and someone out of nowhere steps up and they don't speak English and you do not speak Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese, I mean, whatever, and they come in and they're looking at you and they know you're looking at your stuff, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, I love this. And you're doing these hand motions and trying to make sure that you're explaining as best you can. And they're like, oh, thank you so much. And then I'm trying to ask if they have social media. And they pull out their business card and they're presenting it to me. And they're so going, I thank you so much. They're so grateful that I have acknowledged and it's not because of who I am, that's how they're treating everyone. And I was like, okay, this is a different culture. This is a different place. And that was amazing. It was the respect for each other that everyone had, that even though we didn't have language, it got difficult at times. Luckily, there were enough people who spoke English. We had a great time, but it was definitely, there were other AFOLs there that we were never going to be able to have a conversation with without heavy translation. But the people there made us feel very warm and welcome, and again, we got advice on where to go after we left. And we were going to go to Kyoto. And we got advice from a couple people saying, yeah, maybe not. It's a little packed, it's hot, there's a lot of people. Nagoya. I don't know what a Nagoya is. What the hell are we talking about? Oh, by the way, it's 1.5 million people. And it does happen to be where Legoland is. And that was not the original plan. I was gonna skip Legoland on this trip, and then Carla said, no, we should go. But we were going to Nagoya because somebody told us to. We stayed in a hotel that was 8 stories tall in a building that was probably 40 stories tall. And it was like, okay, nice hotel, had a great time. We never needed to leave that hotel. It made a Vegas hotel look like a Motel 6. You want food? Oh, we have one of the largest food floors in the country, 75 restaurants. And we're not talking McDonald's and Burger King and things like this. This is not a mall food court. We're talking full sit-down restaurants of every kind of food you could imagine. You want ramen, then you want to go grab dessert, it's all there. Food, drink, everything. And I'm like, we could literally stay here for 2 weeks and never eat the same food twice. And I was like, I want to come back. I want to come back to this place. But the problem is there's 1,000 other places that I want to go back to. So the exploring is definitely a fun thing to do, but I have to stop going back to the same places. I need to explore and go out. So I'm so happy I went to Omaha because it was something different. I'd love to go back at some point in time, but you know what? Maybe next year it's going to be Virginia. Probably not, but you know, who knows? Maybe I'll go back up to Brick Camp. I don't know. There is a possibility though, because I've been contacted online and then I got to meet the ambassadors from China. And I had talked to them online and I had been invited to their show a couple times. Come to China. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Come to China. I don't know. Looked it up and the show had it was at some city that was like 5 million people. And I'm like, I don't even know what this place is. Well, they moved it to Shanghai. And I was like, oh, okay, I at least know where that is on the map. I have no idea how to travel there. I have no idea of anything. So when we met them in Japan, they said, come to China. We can help you with how to do whatever. And I'm like, friendly people are ruining my bank account yet again. My plan, my goal is to go to China next year. During a hot summer, but to go to China. And that is what I'd love to say is a once-in-a-lifetime adventure. Except for Skaerbaek was supposed to be a once-in-a-lifetime adventure. So it's a good possibility I'm going to China, and if I do that, then that runs into other shows that I won't be able to go to. But when I told my friends in Texas that I wouldn't be able to go to Brick Rodeo because I was going to Japan, Will Heron said, why in the hell would you be apologizing? I'd go to Japan if I could. So these friends that you make support you, they push you, even if they miss out on seeing you, they want you to go and have fun and have a good time. If you've never been to Japan, go. It is a different world. It is definitely a different place. One place that I have not mentioned, and I would like to say that I have been to 15 different events since COVID opened up everything, 28 different times. So total of 15 different places over 28 times. We all know how much the hotel costs here. Yeah, I have no idea where all that money that I've spent on hotels the past 3 years has gone, but that is frightening. Never, ever, ever look up how much your travel costs because as the snowballs know, it does get expensive. But the place that I have not mentioned is where we are right now, Salt Lake City. I had seen Cody, who is not here, so I can actually tell this without causing anything. Cody is a presence. When Cody walks into a room, everybody sees him. He would go to events that I had seen him at Brick's Cascade. I'd seen him at a couple things, and I have to say I was intimidated. I didn't know. He had his group, and he's just this big, friendly guy, and I was a little intimidated. So I made a goal of when I went to Texas, the year I met Chris, just before we went to Skaerbaek, that I was going to talk to Cody. I am going to have a conversation with this guy, and we did. And we ended up becoming friends right then and there. I decided to come here to the show for the first time, and it's because, honestly, I'd heard good things, but it was because of Cody. And again, being warm and welcoming. People like Will, people like Cody, people like Miguel in Portugal, people like Kevin. These are the people who make this happen. There's a whole team behind it, but those are the cheerleaders who get people here. And so Salt Lake, I love the mocks here. There's some great stuff. Problem is I've seen 40% of what's in that room from different events. There's no problem with that on my part whatsoever. It does cut down on my social media. Fine, I don't care. Much like Portugal, I like coming here for the people because we get to hang out late at night outside the back of a hotel, have a great time, and get to know each other and enjoy each other's company. And that is what's important about this show. There is no tourism here for me. I have been to the Lego store. I have been to Costco. We're talking over, this is the 4th year. I've been to those places. I've been to a couple restaurants here, a pizza place, and that hotel in here. That is the only experience that I have had in this city. So I can't say that I came here as a travel destination. I came here for the people. So if anybody has any advice that's local of a place that's good to eat or something, we might give that a try. I want to close with saying, and I have to be honest, and I've actually had one person here. I had one person at another event and said, "Hey Mo, you're looking tired." I am. I have had a phenomenal year. I have been to 3 different countries, multiple different states this year. This is my 7th event this year. And some people go to a lot more. I have friends that go to plenty of events. I do my social media. I go through and I interact with people. I do my live shows, I do all that, and it's fun and I love it. It's a job that I love, but it is tiring. It is work when I come. Travel does get tiring. I'm almost 50 years old now. It gets tiring. So I have people go, "I wish I could travel as much as you." And I hope you can as well, but I want to not just go with, you saw this on social media and everything is peaches and cream. It does get tiring. It does get stressful. It does cause anxiety. It does cause debt. It does cause all these things. And if you can do it, go do it. But don't take what I say. I can tell you where are fun places. I can take you all that. I'm not saying go out and hit every place in a year. I'm not saying hit every event like I am. I don't know what the future holds for me because not too long ago, I showed up at Brick's Cascade having no idea what I was doing. I did a little bit of social media. A couple years later, I decided to almost jokingly apply to become an ambassador. I got in on the first try. That is not bragging. I had no idea why. Then I found out LEGO is interested in looking more into events. They want to look more into the events, and I was doing exactly what they wanted. They wanted genuine, just a guy going to places, showing off awesome things, who has the respect of the people around to make sure that they are credited, they are respected, they get the social media respect that they deserve. I was told that during my meeting. I was told you don't have the biggest following. I was told you don't have the most interaction, but you're doing something that other people aren't. Keep doing exactly what you're doing. I'm a photographer, and I asked, should I bring out the big cameras? I could be doing full photo shoots. If people wanted their mocks, I could bring seamless, I could bring strobes, I could do full photo shoots of people's stuff. I don't really care to because it's a lot of work. Lego said, nope, don't do that. They said, keep doing what you're doing. So that's what I do. I travel around, I take pictures of people's stuff, I shoot videos, I try and have a good time. I respect the builders because some of these builders are a billion times more talented than I will ever be. And I will call out a young man in the front that I have been following for a number of years. And I have to say that I have been impressed now for years watching him grow into a phenomenal builder, promoter, one step away from being an influencer when it comes to stuff. So that's a great job. And so I have watched him at different events and I've seen his work, and that is so much fun. I have seen people who became that were just amazing builders who became designers. I've got to follow people's careers in a very short amount of time, and these people have become friends. And it's because of the places I go, the people I see, and the people I get to interact with. So I will say, if you got some extra money, you got some anxiety medicine, you have an amazing partner that can go and help keep you I'll call out Jen, you don't have any problems with different foods, go for it. Do not go to Japan if you are a vegan. It is not the best place. We heard some complaints. But it's go, do it. Do it as much as you can, as much as you want to, as much as you are able to. Go see the world and do it through the Lego community, because when you go to that place, you get to do what everybody who travels wants to do. You get to go and meet where the locals are. Everybody says, I don't want to go where the tourists are, I want to go where the locals hang out. Go to an event and then add some couple days at the end, and the locals will tell you where to eat. The locals will tell you what really to do. Come to Los Angeles, we have a show coming over in Los Angeles, and people say, you want to know the restaurants? Carla's going to tell you the best street tacos to get. It's not a restaurant, it is a back alley somewhere in the valley that you're gonna get the best tacos that will never show up on a best of list on Yelp. So that's what I suggest is, if you're gonna travel, make sure it's around an AFOL event, and that will definitely add to your experience. So I appreciate everyone here letting me follow along. I have done 2 keynotes where I talked about social media, and then I talked to Cody about doing this about travel. So I kind of was flying by the seat of my pants with this. As a social media thing, I do want to say, if people are doing social media, because I know, Jake, you are high on the social media, I know you want it. Views don't matter. It is not the number of views you get, it is who is watching. I did my keynote in Omaha, Nebraska. I posted it for friends and family who couldn't be there. I did not really promote it. I got 34 views in 24 hours. Anybody who has ever been on social media knows that 34 views is nothing. The next morning, I got a message from Kevin in Manchester saying, next time you're in Manchester, I want you to do your keynote. I was like, oh. And he also said I didn't have to mind my language. So I was like, okay. 2 hours after that, Miguel hit me up from Portugal and said, when you're here in Portugal, I want you to do your keynote. So I did it again. I did it in Portugal. 34 views. So if you have any dreams, aspirations of social media, it is not how many views you get, it's who's following. Because I've got to do one presentation and I get to do another one based off of 34 views. So there's my social media pitch, kids. So have a good rest of your day. Enjoy. I do not do question answer period, but I am here all weekend. I know many of you will be in the back. Many of you have heard these stories. Many of you have been to these places with me. But if you want to talk later tonight and I've had a little bit to drink and you want to enjoy a conversation, please feel free to come up anytime, ask me any questions. I'll give you the best honest answer that I can, and we can talk about Lego travel. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I did it in my time period.